and the loss and the draw were early in his career, 15 knockouts. In all of that, there's a very business-like, I know what I'm doing attitude.
Well, we're seeing the same Bramble, yet a Bramble without all the confusion and pandemonium that surrounds his career.
Let's take a look at the comparison between these two and the tail of the tape. The champion, of course, Livingstone Bramble, is 26 years old, 3 years older than Edwin Rosario, and he has an 8-inch reach advantage, which when we spoke with him, he feels he can utilize in there. We've never made much of reach, but Bramble does feel it's to his advantage. He feels that he can jab his man and that he has a good enough jab to be able to knock a man out.
I don't think that his reach, as far as the jab is concerned, will be all that important, Barry. What he uses those very long arms for a lightweight is defensively. He uses them as a vertical shield in front of his body, as you'll see. And here's our punch stat, our computer toy that gives you an analysis of the action that a fighter gives, quantitatively. Bramble in the two Mancini fights, Mancini, a fighter coming right at him through all those punches. Rosario, you can see the difference between his fights depending on the opponent. So how many punches Rosario throws tonight obviously will be depending on the strategy of Bramble and how close they are together. And there you see how they utilize the jabs. Again, two marked differences depending on the opponent. I think Bramble will try his jab if Rosario is right in front of him.
And let's take a look then at the WBA rules. They are very similar to the WBC rules. The most obvious difference, of course, they fight 15 rounds in the WBA and 12 rounds in the WBC. The only other change is that number 5, the 3 knockdown rule in WBA rules is in effect. So if the man is knocked down 3 times in a round, the fight is over. All the other rules, the judging, the scoring, no standing 8 count, and the fighter can be saved by the bell only in the last round, the same in both WBA and WBC. So in the ring, both the combatants here. There's a look at Edwin Chapo Rosario. Both fighters seem very loose, too, before this fight.
Well, they're two experienced fighters in championship fights. The thing about Rosario is that there were a lot of skeptics before the last fight who had completely discounted him, to my amazement, because he had lost, after all, only 1 fight up to that time. Now they're asking him to prove that he's tough enough to fight this very, very tough champion. He did let Camacho get off the hook in that fight.
There's an interesting thing, Larry, just to elaborate a little more on what you touched upon a moment ago. Bramble, according to everybody that we've spoken with, and of course our own observations, is a very good defensive fighter. And yet when we spoke with Rosario, he said, and I'm quoting, he said he doesn't have any defense.
Well, a lot of things are said before fights. He's a very odd fighter, Bramble, an anomaly in that he's an aggressive counterpuncher. It's almost against, the terms are against each other. He moves forward behind those long arms, trying to encourage his opponent to punch at him, and then he punches the opponent. It's almost a conflict of terms, aggressive counterpuncher, but he's very effective at it.
Another added element for HBO viewers tonight, too. Here is a shot from the Goodyear Blimp that is with us tonight, and with us, in fact, the first time in the 62-year history of the Goodyear Blimp that it has covered a championship boxing match. So a first, and there's a look at the Goodyear Blimp, and at night, of course, always outlined in lights. Beautiful sight, and one that's very familiar to sports fans in every sport.
It's that big football in the sky and a big football weekend, Oklahoma, Miami, 49ers and the Dolphins.
Right now, let's go up to the ring announcer, Frank Freeman, for the pre-fight introductions.
Boxing fans, this is a Don P. Event Productions, Willie Martinez, president. Presentation under the supervision of the Florida State Athletic Commission, Robert Shevin, chairman, Commissioners Jimmy Resnick and Morris Grady, and Colonel George Porter, executive director. This bout, the officials designed and assigned for WBC WBA Julio Castillo. The judges, Rogelio Perez, Jesus Teles, Warren Mayo. The timekeeper, Sam Granalnik, counting for the knockdowns, Richard Graver. The doctors, Jack Grossman, Theodore Struhl, and the referee, Ernesto Magana from Mexico City. And the principals in the blue corner, from Puerto Rico, wearing the gold and blue trunks, weighing 135 pounds, with a record of 23-2, with 19 KOs, the former WBC lightweight champion, Edwin Rosario. And his opponent in the red corner, from Hamilton Township, New Jersey, wearing the black and check trunks, weighing 135 pounds, with a record of 24-1-1, with 15 KOs, the World Boxing Association champion, Livingston Bramble.
Bring them together. I want to hold the mic up to your face.
Into the face.
Right. Okay. Now.
So we're just about set to get started here. One issue that we probably should touch on, Larry Merchant, and that is the dreadlocks worn by Livingstone Bramble. Something of a story here.
Yeah, those dreadlocks are sort of like knots in the hair that some fighters complained about. Now his hair is more braided, hanging down, but he's been warned that if it gets in the way of Rosario, that the referee is authorized to clip it off with scissors. I don't know if the referee has a license to barber here in Florida or not. This is a new issue on me.
I think there is one, perhaps a bottom line here in our conversations with both these fighters. We talked about some of the things they said already. Livingstone Bramble had a simple quote. He said, if you see him take a step back, the fight's mine. And it is a fact that Rosario does not fight backwards, moving backwards very well. Rosario said, you won't see me move backwards, you'll only see me move side to side.
Just remember that both of these fighters are accustomed to going after their opponents. So this first round figures to be an important round for dominance, for territory, to determine who is going to be the boss. Both of them are looking at it that way, Ray.
One thing about it, though, Bramble has always been the one that would make the fight very aggressive, inside and outside. This time he says he's going to use the left jab. Let's see whether or not it works.
Rosario seems extremely loose here, just ahead of the opening bell. Rosario, in some people's estimation, was thinking perhaps a little bit more about his narrow loss to Hector Camacho than he was about the fight upcoming tonight with Livingstone Bramble. Round one, set to go.
Whoa, that was close.
Crowd into this fight right off the bat. Good left hook, the biggest weapon of Edwin Rosario. Bramble said, look for all kinds of fireworks in the first round, because you have to establish dominance, in the words of Livingstone Bramble.
Bramble puts a lot behind that left jab. You notice he puts his entire body. In fact, he mentioned the fact his sparring partner is playing this like his right hand. Very potent, very crisp. With Rosario, he has given a lot of angles. In fact, he said he won't move back. He was side-to-side angles.
Pretty good right hand by Rosario.
Good stiff jab by Bramble. Normally Bramble would cut the ring off. Rosario used the entire ring. A lot of mobility.
Jab keeping Rosario off of Bramble. And a lead right that time snuck in. There is, even this early, Ray, a little bit of swelling under the right eye of Rosario caused by that left jab.
Well, you have to understand the fact that Bramble's a good, solid puncher. Puts his entire body behind it. Rosario puts punches together very well.
Rosario is doing a little bit of backing up here.
He backs away to get in position, Barry. Then he fires back. There, he fired back with a good left-right combination.
Very good combination, and it locked Bramble back. Another good left hand sneaking in over the gloves of Bramble by Rosario. Even first round. Very good left jab by Bramble. 10 seconds remaining. We'll remind you that Tito Alba, our interpreter, Spanish to English, will be in the corner of Edwin Rosario, and we'll have an interpretation between rounds.
I don't think anybody dominated that round, but I did think Rosario was more effective at what he wanted to do than Bramble was at what he wanted to do.
But you're not moving your hands quite enough. Yeah? Flip them punches. And your knees inside too, champ. Two straight up. And water. Okay.
I need some water. You have to use the left hand also.
Stay loose, champ. Stay loose. Make a miss.
The issue here is whether Bramble can take the punch of Rosario, who is probably the hardest, sharpest puncher he's ever faced, and whether Rosario can stand the pressure and toughness of the champion.
Bramble said he really didn't think the fight would go 15 rounds, and he said, honestly, I doubt it'll go 10.
What Bramble has in front of him is a guy that is a great counterpuncher, one of the best counterpunchers in the lightweight division. Also a good, sharp, accurate puncher in Rosario, a guy that gives you so many angles, left, right, lateral movement. Bramble has a tendency to wear his opponents down with just his aggressiveness.
Rosario just missed with that short left hook. That was the one that really got Hector Camacho.
Bramble there for a second was going to turn to southpaw. This guy is ambidextrous.
Well, it's also been said when he does that, he takes one awkward step and leaves himself open.
But he fires back so quickly, Barry, and very few fighters are able to counter on that. The jab of Rosario starting to back Bramble into the ropes.
Good combinations by Edwin Rosario. And a great left hand by Rosario. That was a sneaky, quick left hand. And it drove Bramble into a corner. And a good uppercut and another. And Bramble backs up, he's hurt. Rosario dishing it out to Bramble. Long way to go, over a minute remaining.
There's a cut over Bramble's right eye.
Some tremendous shots by Rosario. Bramble just trying to cover up. And down goes Bramble.
It's all over.
Tremendous victory for Edwin Rosario.
I said when this round started, the issue was whether Bramble could take Rosario's punch, which was the hardest punch he's ever faced. It turned out that he couldn't.
This is a man that had never been knocked off his feet before. There was no question about it.
So the preamble to Bramble has turned out to be the scenario for Rosario. And now what Hector Camacho is looking at is a rematch of that great fight we had earlier in the year, if he can win tonight.
If he wants it. If he wants it is another issue. Or rather, Camacho, who knows and admitted he was really in a fight the last time, has made noises about moving up one division. And after seeing this, I'm not sure that he would want any part of this man. Let's take another look at it, Ray. That was just a most impressive performance, and he showed a good ability to finish this time.
The right hand did a lot of damage. Then here, Bramble buckles. And again, Rosario, good finisher. He connects with the right hand to the side of the head. A lot of clinching at this point here. Bramble still a little on Queer Street. And again, Rosario just in there.
Here's
good sharp punches.
The fact that this time he made no mistake about it. He finished. There was some criticism that he could have finished Camacho, and he didn't. And in fact, there was some criticism. Camacho himself said he kind of dogged it between the 6th and the 10th rounds in a Camacho fight, and he just kind of coasted, waiting to go the distance and figuring he'd win the fight. This time, no question about it.
Well, Camacho has those legs to get him out of trouble. Here with Bramble relies a lot on strength. The uppercuts, short punches, inside punches, very, very sharp, very accurate punch, devastating shots.
Well, the people's champion, who was, I don't think there's any doubt about, just the people's champion in the country of Puerto Rico, is fast becoming the people's champion internationally.
You know, one thing about Rosario, he didn't think that he, after winning, if he should have won this fight, he wouldn't be recognized, but I think he will be.
I don't think there's any question about it. That was a very, very impressive performance. Very impressive. So Rosario hardly winded, although there was a little bit of swelling under his eye. Bramble seems to be okay. He's now with his baby and his wife in the corner. Let's go up to the ring announcer, Frank Freeman. We'll get the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 2 minutes, 28 seconds of the second round. Winner by a knockout, and new WBA lightweight champion, Edwin Rosario.
Well, a family affair going on in the ring right now. Edwin Rosario with his daughters, and in the other corner is Livingstone Bramble with his son. But there was no question about who was the master tonight in the ring.
Well, both guys tried to establish grounds in the early rounds. One thing about it, Rosario kept moving lateral position, side to side, never really moved back. Used that left jab very, very well. Once he was able to hurt Bramble, he put his punches together very well.
Did it surprise you that Rosario was able to get inside as easily as he was against Bramble?
Well, not really, Barry, because I knew fully well Rosario has a technique to get inside. Very good counterpuncher in Rosario. Good hands, sharp punching, just devastating.
We talked about the fact that Bramble had never been hurt, though, and that jab has always been able to keep a smaller opponent like Rosario off of him. But tonight it just seemed as though Rosario just walked right through the jab.
Yeah, well, if you remember, Barry, Bramble himself said, watch the first round. That first round is the key whether or not I can dominate.
All right, Larry Merchant is just about set in the ring now with the winner, Edwin Rosario. Will have an interpreter. I'm sure it's going to be a very happy young man from Puerto Rico. Larry, you've got it.
Okay. Okay. All right, we're here with Edwin Rosario, the once and present champion again. Edwin, could you have any clue in the first round that he would be that easy to hit and hurt?
¿Te diste cuenta en el primer asalto de que Bramble verdaderamente iba a ser una victoria sencilla?
Yo lo había dicho desde un principio.
I had said it before, that it was an easy victory.
Yo había dicho desde un principio que yo era mejor que Bramble no había peleado con nadie todavía, que yo era el mejor peso ligero del mundo.
He said that Bramble was not the best lightweight in the world, and that he was going to beat him, okay, and that he was going to prove it.
Y ahora no tengo más que hablar, ya lo demostré.
He doesn't have anything to prove. He already demonstrated that he's the best.
What did he see in Bramble that convinced him that he would win decisively?
¿Qué viste en Bramble que te sintió que te estabas convencido que le podías ganar decididamente?
Bueno, lo que yo vi es que Bramble no boxea, solamente un boxeador parado, que tiene una buena condición física, pero yo tengo una pegada enorme y eso fue lo que dije todo el tiempo, que con mi pegada me lo iba a llevar.
that Bramble is a stand-up fighter, that he doesn't have very much boxing skills, and that he was going to come forward, and he was going to be there, and he has a devastating power, punch power, and he was going to hit him with that.
Everybody felt, because of one of your defeats, that you were not going to be able to stand up to a very strong man who would back you up the way Bramble did. Would you comment on that?
Ellos dicen que todo el mundo pensaba que un hombre que te fuera para encima y que tú tuvieras que retroceder, pues estaría en una posición dificultosa en tu defensa.
Bueno, voy a volver a repetir. Yo dije también que yo bien preparado no me gana nadie. Que a mí que me gana soy yo mismo. Yo bien preparado.
After failing to finish Camacho in that fight, was he determined once he had this man hurt that he would finish him as quickly as possible?
Una vez que lo pusiste malo, te recordaste de cuando pusiste malo a Camacho, eso te ayudó esta vez a caerle encima como lo hiciste.
No, fíjate, lo que pasa fue que hubieron muchos comentarios. Cada vez que me hacían una entrevista, pues decían, oye, Edwin, pero ¿qué es lo que pasa? Que tú que eres demasiado bueno con los boxeadores. Pues yo me dije, bueno, me puse a ver mis peleas que fueron las que hice anterior y dije, oye, ¿verdad? Yo cojo los boxeadores, los remato y ahora no he estado haciendo eso. Pero de ahora para adelante yo me voy a preparar bien con el ánimo que cogí en la pelea de Camacho y cuando tenga uno en malas condiciones me voy a ir hasta el final.
He says that really everybody that came to see him before the fight told him why he didn't finish Camacho when he was in trouble. And that really made his mind up that to look at his fights. He looked at his fights and he saw that, what everybody was telling him, that whenever he put a boxer in a bad condition, he didn't follow up. And now he really followed up.
Tell us how you feel about the possibility of fighting Hector Camacho again to unify the title.
¿Cómo te sientes ahora de la posibilidad real de poder pelear con Camacho otra vez para unificar los títulos?
Digo, me siento bien contento, pero me siento bien contento porque verdaderamente ya le demostré al mundo, para todos aquellos que tienen duda, que soy el mejor, como siempre le he dicho.
He says that he feels very happy because now he knows that this will be a reality and that he has demonstrated to the world that he's really the best lightweight.
Thank you very much and congratulations. Edwin, once upon a time this man was regarded as a future dominant fighter in prize fighting. He's coming back to being very close what was expected of him. Now back to ringside.
Okay, thanks very much, Larry Merchant. You know, Ray, it's always been amazing to me how a guy like Rosario, who came along, as Larry Merchant mentioned, this guy was going to be the greatest lightweight of all time. Then he lost to Jose Luis Ramirez, and all of a sudden people said, nah, this guy is really nothing. He loses the fight to Camacho, and something in that fight just all of a sudden gave him respect. And tonight he just put it all together.
Well, when Rosario lost to Ramirez, people said, well, the guy doesn't have it anymore. He was hit by a guy that's not really considered a one-punch knocker-outer. Then he come back, he fight Camacho, hurt Camacho, looked quite impressive. People say, this guy has a chance. And with Bramble, they didn't think the guy could hold his own. But he fought a very intelligent fight, very tactical fight, inside, outside, used that jab, kept his hands high, too, if you remember. Kept his hands very high. He hurt Bramble and then took him out.
Does a fighter, though, ever start to question himself? I mean, do you suppose that Edwin Rosario, after he lost to Ramirez, started to have doubts about his own ability?
Well, not Ramirez. I think the fight that stood in his mind was more so Hector Camacho. He kept referring back to Camacho fight, kept saying, well, I could have done a little better. I could have been a little more aggressive. I had Camacho hurt. I didn't take advantage of it. I don't know, Barry. For some reason, that fight there stuck with Rosario.
All right, let's go back up to the ring now. Larry Merchant, I believe, is with the loser of the fight, a game Livingstone Bramble. Larry?
Livingston Bramble, in 2 words, what happened?
Well, I got thumb early in the round, and I went down, and I just couldn't see nothing. I was just moving. I can't see in front of me, and I just stayed down there because I couldn't see nothing.
You got thumbed early in the 2nd round?
Early in that same round.
It seemed, however, that he was getting to you, that he was reaching you with the punches and doing what he wanted to do, whereas you were having difficulty doing what you wanted to do.
Well, I was just taking my time on warming up slowly. I started landing the jab to the head, and I was going to concentrate on the jab. But like I said, after I got thumb, I just couldn't see nothing at all. It's one thing, you know, to lose rightly, but I did got thumb, and I couldn't see it. And, you know, what could I say? If you replay it, you will see the thumb.
How do you regard him as a fighter now, having been in that short time?
Rosario is a good puncher, like always. We know he was a good puncher, but I know that it's just a matter of a couple of rounds where I would have got to him and win the fight easy.
Thank you very much, Livingston. And now back to Barry and Ray.
Okay, Ray, we're going to have an opportunity to look at that entire second round once again. And that was the round, of course, in which Edwin Rosario just kind of picked up the pace from the first round. Larry Merchant hit it on the head, I think, when he said Rosario did what he wanted to do better than Bramble did what he are now into the second round.
Well, Rosario definitely did not move straight back. Gave a lot of lateral movement. Here, he's using that jab, trying to keep Bramble at bay.
I saw him start to move back on one occasion early in this round, and you could almost see him say, I'm not going to do that anymore.
If you watch the way that Rosario throws his jab, he throws jab and then he bobs and weaves a little bit. Never a stationary target. Here he counters with the left hook, and again, constantly moving to his right or to his left. Never directly in front of Bramble, because if so, Bramble can eat you up.
Bramble just trying to do the same kinds of things that have taken him to all those victories and to the championship and to the 2 victories over Mancini, but he was just unable to. Now, he said he was thumbed. I haven't seen him be thumbed yet.
Now, that was a good, sharp left uppercut to the eye. And also, you notice that Bramble's not aggressive here. He's basically on defense. Here he's stung, and Rosario just wailing away at him.
Now, that might have been where he was thumbed. If you notice, he really covered up right away. I don't know if it's from a punch or from what he said was a thumbing.
To the body, to the head. There's another shot, the uppercut that Rosario threw. Those are short, very powerful shots that Rosario's throwing under.
And he's coming under the gloves and up over the top of the gloves. Not wasting a lot of punches here, but finishing like he never has before.
Well, he was very aggressive, stayed on top of his man. He knew he had Bramble hurt. And I've never seen Bramble in this condition. Watch for the right hand now. There was the right hand that put Bramble in more trouble. There he goes down.
And a tremendous right hand that was.
Bramble claimed he stayed down, Barry, maybe because he couldn't see anything. After he said he was allegedly thumbed.
I must say, I did not think that he was going to be down for the count. I thought he was going to get back up, and it really didn't look like a lot of fighters when they get hit that hard that many times. You can see their legs go, and I didn't see Bramble's legs go, really. But it was a tremendous right hand that put him down. Here's the total punches in the fight. It really tells you everything you need to know about this fight. Rosario threw virtually twice as many punches and scored with virtually twice as many punches. 52% efficiency. He threw the bigger punches and he threw more of them. And I guess when that's going to happen, you're going to win the fight, and that's what happened tonight.
And especially when you're accurate. Rosario threw a great deal of punches and landed quite a few, at least half.
126 punches thrown by Edwin Rosario. And just to go back on the subject we touched on a little bit earlier, I don't think he had any doubts after the Camacho fight. I think he probably just berated himself over the fact that he didn't put his man away when he had him, and he was going to make sure that that wasn't the case this time if he got him hurt. Still to come, of course, the WBC Lightweight Championship, that between Hector Macho Camacho, who I'm sure was an interested observer, and Cornelius Boza Edwards. Now, that one will be a 12-round fight. And I have to think Camacho's going to go after his man just the same way as Rosario did his. I don't think he wants to hang around here for 12 rounds.
I think that fight tonight with Rosario was inspirational for Camacho. We should see a very aggressive Hector Camacho tonight.
I really wonder what Camacho's feelings are as regards fighting Rosario. And I think he really wanted to fight Bramble because I think he really felt, well, I can beat this guy. He's an unknown quantity. Rosario is a known quantity.
Well, it's like being in there, like I was in there with Roberto Duran the first time. I knew fully well the second time around would be rougher, but fortunately it wasn't.
So Camacho, I'm sure, as we mentioned, a most interested observer. We may try to get some of his comments about this fight. And he's going to have to go out there now and do to Cornelius Boza Edwards what Edwin Rosario just did to Livingstone Bramble. And there is a little bit of question as to the conditioning of Hector Camacho.
Well, Camacho had a weight problem at one time. 8 pounds he had to take off in 2 weeks. And that could prove to be a factor here with Boza Edwards, because Boza a slow puncher, slower foot, and it may give him a better chance.
And Edwards is a guy who usually comes on in the middle rounds. That's when he's really most effective. He's not a particularly fast starter. That would serve Camacho well, you'd have to think.
Well, I think, again, Camacho's a young man, so the weight might not hurt him. If not, he should be able to mesmerize Bozo with his hand and foot speed.
You know Hector Camacho. Now, what's going through his mind right now? Is he thinking, yes, I'd like to have another shot at Rosario, or do you think he respects the man enough that there's just that little element of doubt? We've talked about those little intangibles. You think he might have that little element of doubt about Rosario?
Well, there are always intangibles. In fact, I think here, because Rosario is so impressive, Barry, he looked great, looked fantastic. That's going through Camacho's mind, but Camacho has to stick to his plan with Bozo Edwards.
We talked about the fact that this has become one of the toughest and most competitive divisions in the sport of boxing, and while we're seeing 4 of the best, there's a lot of other interested observers here, and Larry Merchant right now is with one of them. Larry?
We talked earlier about how many good lightweights were out there, and at least 3 of the best 4 in the world are on this card. And here is the 4th, and now, after this fight, the 3rd. Jimmy Paul, the IBF champion. What were your thoughts about Rosario tonight, Jimmy?
I always knew that Rosario is the kind of opponent could upset Bramble because of the style that Bramble carried. Rosario, you know, I thought that I had Bramble to win the fight, but I didn't think that, you know, it would happen that quick, Rosario to knock him out. But I knew that Rosario had the power and had the talent to knock Bramble out.
Were you surprised that Bramble really wasn't able to rough him around, and also that he didn't show any of his defensive prowess?
No, he didn't. I watched very closely when they came in the ring, and I noticed Bramble didn't have a drop of sweat on him, and that's something that a fighter should always do, warm up before a fight. And that's something that he didn't do. He came in different this time to me for some reason.
You think he might have been overconfident?
Yes, he did. He did a bad thing. He ran across the ring early, and I think that, I don't know if the bell had rung or what had happened at the time, but I think that he just was over anxious, and then too, he won the first round. I gave him the first round. The second round, he came out like as though he had lost the first round, and he fought like on a defensive fighter.
Jimmy, we've been talking a lot about unifying the title, WBA, WBC. You haven't been mentioned in this scenario. How do you feel about that?
I feel that I should be mentioned, and I should be into this box off because I've fought the best fighters. I fought Blake, Gannigan, Arroyo, Alvin Hayes, Cubanito Perez, Daryl Tyson. I just revenged my loss 4 weeks ago, and I fought the best quality fighter. And everybody out knows boxing that I have fought the better fighters, and they have been denying me. But I think with Rosario and Camacho, and I still feel that I'm the best lightweight in the world.
Thank you, Jimmy. The scenario with Rosario may well indeed include Jimmy Paul as well as Hector Camacho in the near future. Back to ringside.
Well, let's put Jimmy Paul into this mix for just a moment, Ray. Jimmy Paul is a guy who is the IBF champion. Everybody knows that he's a pretty solid fighter. Where does he work into this whole mix with the Brambles and the Rosarios and the Camachos and maybe even the Bozo Edwards?
There's no question about it. He's right in there. And it's almost like 2 media was about to collide. It's inevitable. It has to happen. And I can't wait for it.
What do you think right now, or who do you think, I should say, is the most effective lightweight around, the guy who can go the furthest?
Well, it's tough to say because you saw what happened tonight with Rosario and Bramble. It's so unpredictable because each guy carries power, carries speed, talent. It's hard to say.
Now, what do you do if you're Jimmy Paul? You kind of sit back and you watch how the cards fall between Rosario and Camacho, or you see what Camacho does, and this is all assuming he gets by Bozo Edwards, what he does is in terms of staying in his division or stepping up.
Go right back to the gym and start working out.
That's the only thing to do, huh? Hector Camacho, as he mentioned right now, he's watched Rosario, and he's the kind of guy, by his own admission, he says, I got a big ego. He said, it's showtime. He says, and I'm the dancer, and I play the drums at the same time. He's got to play the drums a little bit better tonight than Edwin Rosario does to be as pleasing to this crowd, and that's really an important thing for Camacho.
Well, because of Camacho's little ego, he hates to be upstage, and I'm sure he's going to try to put on an impressive performance. Hopefully he won't go overboard and do too much and get shocked by this kid. So it might be an interesting fight here.
All right, well, as we mentioned, for Hector Macho Camacho, this fight was billed as the preamble to Bramble. Hold all bets. That's changed greatly. That's not the score anymore. As Larry Merchant mentioned, it's the scenario to Rosario. And what's going through the mind of the man on stage next?
I just got rocked with a good shot. So he countered with the right hand. He countered again, and again, and again.
I don't care what you say. I don't play the same games you play. 'Cause I've been talking to the people that you call it friends, and it seems to me there's a means to an end. They don't care anymore.
Camacho trying to survive, Rosario trying to put him away.
And you're gonna tell me how hard Rosario hit. Oh, if he knocks a building down. But boy, I must be a building, 'cause he hit me with 20 shots. Not with 20, with 30. And I was able to survive the round like a true champion.
I won't be there anymore. Get out of my way. Let me by. I got better things to do with my time. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.
The winner by the title decision, Hector Camacho.
No, people will say, well, it was a close fight. Why? It wasn't a close fight. It was just a war. You want to see a war? That's the way boxing is supposed to be.
And so coming up, it's the WBC version of the lightweight championship. This one pitting the champion, Hector Macho Camacho, trying to make it 30 straight. He struggled the last time. He gets a veteran, Cornelius Boza Edwards, Uganda, England, and now Las Vegas, Nevada. He's wily. He's been around more than Hector Macho Camacho. Ray, we talked to Camacho. We talked to Edwards during this past week. Camacho, by his own admission, said, well, I didn't train very well for the last fight. Remember, he was chopping wood, and he told us then, that's exactly what I need to do. It gives him more punching power. Well, he said it gave him more punching power, but it allowed him just to keep his head up straight, and that's what caused Rosario to be able to get in with the left hands. Now, what about this time around? He's got to change things.
Well, I don't know. I think the fact that Camacho stated he trained himself. It's tough to train yourself because sometimes you need additional motivation. And with Marty Cohen, that helps Camacho a great deal. But I think this time around, he's facing a totally different type of fighter. He can't really get too careless with Bozo Edwards because Bozo is very determined, and like tonight, things happen in boxing.
In one word, can Bozo Edwards win the fight?
I tell you one thing, he has a puncher's chance. That's the only thing I can say about Bozo Edwards.
That's about 17 words.
Yes,
Let's go back up top now to Larry Merchant and his comments on this fight.
After Hector Camacho's hardest fight with Edwin Rosario, and we sure know now why that was such a hard fight, Camacho's girlfriend said to him that his face looked like a Cabbage Patch doll, and his son said to him that he was lucky to be alive. After all of that, Camacho got into his Corvette alone and took a long, leisurely drive from New York to his hideaway in Florida. The idea was to get away from the tumult and the shouting, to reassess what had happened to him, and to map plans for the future. And the point of all that is that beyond the glitter and the sequins and the flash dance, that Hector Camacho is a committed athlete and a prideful athlete and a very, very ambitious athlete. And he usually takes care of business. Tonight he's here to take care of business again, and we want to see how, after that hard fight and those hard knocks, he does take care of business.
113 for Rosario, 115 for Camacho, the winner by majority. Many people thought this result was an early Christmas gift for Hector Camacho. Suspect preparation for this fight added to the confusion on the return to training camp.
Last time I had to work chopping trees in order to really get the work in. My sparring partners wasn't the type to make me move and move my head and move the ring. Like when I fought Ramirez, I had so much good sparring partners that they forced me to move around the ring, and I was able to maneuver myself around the ring. The Rosario fight was more straight up. I wasn't really moving my head, backing up kind of lazy and straight, which I was, crashing into some right hands that he was doing. So
The only time that he really got to hurt me was with the left hand when I stood straight up in the row, which normally I never do.
The defection of trainer Jimmy Montoya to Rosario's corner left sparring partner Felix Pintor in Camacho's corner. Hector was overwhelmed.
I didn't know he was going to work in my corner. I could have put my son to work in the corner. I did it all by myself. Oh, I did the whole training all by myself, against all odds. I was supposed to get knocked out.
In stepped advisor Marty Cohen.
So that when you have a type of individual like Hector Camacho or any champion, he should have the best of everything in his corner. 3 are allowed in the corner, 1 down below.
The revolving door continues in Camacho's corner. Pintor is out. In is Chuck Talhami, a respected trainer whose low-key approach will hopefully offset Camacho's volatility.
He believes in chopping threes, but I believe that chopping threes is when he has no fight. Can go and keep his body in some kind of a shape. But I believe to develop power, you have to use the muscles the way you use them in the ring.
He calls out a few shots that really rings my bell that I thought about. You know, sometimes I say, damn, I'm backing up too straight. I'm not doing this. And Chuck's called those shots, which it proves to me that, yes, he does got his eyes open. And that's all I need, an extra eye over my shoulder.
Perhaps he has more help than he's willing to admit, like sparring with welterweight Joe Baker, who has specific instructions.
I be trying to knock his head off. I'm not going to lie and say that I don't, you know. And I got the power to hurt him. And I be trying to hurt him every time. And every time I see this man taking my stuff, it lets me know that he's for real. He is the macho man. Ain't no lightweight in the world that can mess with this man.
If Camacho has trouble with Boza Edwards, there'll be sound advice from his corner, unlike his last fight.
I give him a pep talk. You must always give a fighter a pep talk. Show him how great he is, show him his good points and his opponent's weak points. Never mention the word tired in the corner. Never talk negative in the corner.
A stable influence in Camacho's corner is essential.
If you have an amateur or amateurs working in a corner, whether it be a champion or a coming champion or even a kid coming out of the amateurs and turning pro, if you don't have a pro in that corner, that's the difference between winning or losing the fight.
His opponent tonight, Cornelius Boza Edwards, started his boxing career in Kampala, Uganda at age 11 under the guidance of English businessman Jack Edwards. When Edwards was expelled from Uganda in a purge of Europeans by the murderous Idi Amin, he went home to London penniless. Cornelius followed his mentor a year later with his parents' blessing. There was no future at home. Cornelius took Jack's surname in appreciation for his help in London. He had a promising future in pro boxing until the death of his young wife left him contemplating suicide.
I had a little daughter to support, and I was good at boxing, and I realized, hey, you know, one or the other, I've got to make it for her. And, you know, there's only me now and her. I've got to find my life again. Otherwise, she's just going to end up on the streets or absolutely with nothing.
George Francis, a popular English trainer, saw potential in the young man, but was uncertain of his will to carry on. Francis has been in Boza's corner ever since, over 50 fights, most notably a title victory over Rafael Bazooka Limon. He successfully defended his title against Bobby Chacon, but lost to the same man 2 years later in a brutal fight. He has since relocated to Las Vegas, remarried with 2 more daughters, and is facing another challenge.
As we were having difficulties with the weight at 130 pounds, so I'd moved up to 135 pounds, and I found myself very comfortable at this weight. And this is where we are, that we've actually gained a shot at Hector Macho Man, and it's going to be a wonderful fight.
Undefeated with 1 draw at his new weight, Boza has benefited from the consistent guidance in his corner. But for this fight, perhaps his last hurrah, Francis remained in England due to his wife's illness. That left Boza to train in the Catskills with Francis' friend and ex-featherweight champion of Great Britain, Bobby Neal, with a new tactic.
In London, we have the hook and jab pads. And I try as much as I possibly can to imitate the Hector's style of attack. And I throw punches at Boza the same way, and he blocks up, you know, blocks up and comes off whether he's playing himself. This has been working very successfully.
George Francis will fly in, especially to be in Cornelius's corner. But what knowledge can Neil add to the 60-second break?
In the heat of a moment, this man's got 60 seconds. And if you throw lots of ideas at the man, he can't take them all in because his body is in a high state of tension. You give him a few seconds to relax, get his breathing back to normal, get some oxygen into his body, and then you pick out 2 or 3 points.
Boza will get a big lift from that familiar face in his corner. Unlike Camacho's corner, Boza has a consistent edge. And if he wins, some simple hopes.
I'll be just satisfied with this one and sit comfortably enough and sit at my house and play with my kids and, you know, tie the belt round them. And they say, "You done it, Dad."
So a look at Cornelius Boza Edwards. He's the challenger and the champion, Hector Macho Camacho. Boza Edwards is a kind of a low-key guy, but you have the feeling he's the kind of guy maybe just kind of laying back in the weeds.
Well, you know, this is the first time I've done a fight on clay courts.
That's true.
Barry and Ray. And in that first fight, what was so unconventional about it was both fighters came to the net. And they were volleying, you know. And here in this fight, we have more of a classification in which we're going to have a baseliner and a net player. And sometimes it can be dangerous coming to the net on clay, as far as Boza is concerned.
And he is the guy who's going to have to serve and volley, if you will. Cornelius Boza Edwards. First time in a week that I've seen him really have that serious expression. He's a real likable kind of guy, very loose. He's been in there against some pretty good competition.
You think he's got a drop shot in him for Camacho? I quit. That's it.
That was all right, though. That was good. That was the pick of the litter right there. So Boza Edwards starts toward the ring here. Very quiet reception by this crowd at Miami Beach.
He's a gentleman. First time in my life when I was in a fighter's apartment before the fight, he had a textbook on one of the tables on electronics. He goes to a college in Las Vegas studying automobile mechanics and electronics.
As you can see, he has been around for 50 fights, won 44 of them, has 5 losses. The draw, incidentally, was in his last fight with Terrence Ali. He has 34 knockouts, so he can punch. Now, whether he can punch against the likes of Macho Camacho remains to be seen. He said about Camacho that he runs. He said he's not a pressure fighter, so he's not too worried about it. And he seems to feel that Camacho's Achilles, if you will, is his stamina, and that has been talked about. As a lightweight, since stepping up, his record, 6 love and the 1 draw. He felt, and I guess this is normally the case, but he did feel that that draw with Terrence Ali at worst should have been a split decision in his favor. He felt he won the fight.
He is an action fighter, and Camacho's style is made for him for whatever that means.
Boza Edwards jumping up from junior lightweight to lightweight, and here are the people who did it before. Kid Chocolate came up to fight Tony Canzoneri. He lost. Flashy Lorde losing to Carlos Ortiz on a couple of occasions.
Carlos Ortiz was another Puerto Rican lightweight champion and one of the best fighters I ever saw.
Yoshiaki Numata had a tough time with Mando Ramos, and Alexis Arguello, who's here, had a 15-round victory over James Watt. Hector Camacho, as you see, the 12-round victory over Jose Luis Ramirez. Camacho now talking about moving up a division, and of course playing one of the games that fighters and football teams both have in common, keeping the opponent, the visitor, in the ring.
If ever such a tactic was futile, it certainly is against Boza Edwards, who has been around since the 1976 Olympics. In fact, Barry, you know, he was in Montreal for the Olympics with the Ugandan Olympic team, and when they pulled out of the Olympics for political purposes, there went his chance at a gold medal.
We asked Edwards about what he needs to do to win this fight, and he said that he feels that he can hit Camacho when Camacho's at long range. He says, in fact, he said, when he thinks that he's out of range, that's when I'll hit him.
You know, before we had the dreadlock issue, now we have the sequin issue, which we've talked about Camacho's sequence of punches. And according to Boza Edwards,
tit for tat, I guess you could say.
Sequins from Camacho's trunks sometimes get on his gloves and they can cut you up.
Well, we mentioned earlier.
One on me as well.
Mentioned earlier that Camacho came out when Edwin Rosario made his entrance, and now here is Edwin Rosario leading the parade out for Hector Camacho. And now we'll see who gets the most applause. I think Rosario won a lot of friends down here.
Little national solidarity never hurt.
I think Rosario really earned Camacho's respect in that fight. Basically, Hector Camacho, a very nice guy. He doesn't let you not like him.
You know, his trainer or advisor, Marty Cohen, said an interesting thing to me this morning at the weigh-in, which incidentally Camacho showed up for 20 minutes early because he was so hungry from having to lose weight that he wanted to get it over with so he can go and eat. Marty Cohen said to me that the only bad thing left with Camacho were some of his eating habits, that he was a junk food junkie, and that maybe losing a fight somewhere along the way might cure him, because his walking around weight now is welterweight weight, 147 or so instead of the 140 or so it was before, and that's why he had to struggle so much to make weight.
Yeah, he has made a lot of noises about stepping up one division. And after that performance of Rosario's, I can't help but wonder if that might hasten his decision. Meanwhile, Boza Edwards all by himself in the corner, just kind of waiting for all the ceremony to get over with. Camacho, incidentally, had told us there wasn't going to be much of the glitter this time, that he was just going to be all business.
You got to be kidding,
We'll see, yeah.
Well, I'm curious about it because I'm wondering what that last fight what kind of impact that last fight had. But I see I see something glittering there. And
yeah, that's right.
He was a little upset here with some of his handlers.
He's just telling his handlers to go. Let's get on with it here. Well, he does have the glitter, but he does look all business. Camacho is a performer. He says that by his own admission. And tonight, to be real honest with you, he just looks angry.
One of those athletes for whom the playing field is a stage.
Macho time, the champ.
Well, the Rosario people are really rooting for Camacho. They want that rematch so bad.
I think it'll really be an interesting fight.
When and if. He hates the camera.
Yeah, he does. There's the record of Hector Camacho. 29 up, none down, 15 knockouts. And not a bad dancer. Here's a look.
Yeah, you see the weights. All four main eventers had 135 pounds. I think the scale was stuck there. I think that Mike Tyson might have come in at 135 on that scale.
Buzz Edwards, bigger, more of a reach. We've mentioned on numerous occasions that really doesn't mean all that much. Camacho says he's going to go side to side again. Here's some numbers, Larry.
Punch stats, numbers. You get an idea of how busy these fighters are. It doesn't tell you how effective and how hard the punches are that they land. Remember that a lot of the punches Camacho threw at Rosario were stay-away punches. They were little jabs just to keep him off him. They weren't effective, hard punches. And here are those jabs, and all the jabs you can see that he throws relative to the numbers of punches he throws.
And meanwhile, the dance goes on. Well, I will tell you about the rules, and as you mentioned earlier, they're virtually the same as the WBC, but we go 12 rounds this time, and the 3 knockdown rule is not in effect. 10-point must system, 3 judges score the fight, no standing 8-count. Fighter can be saved with the bell only in the final round. Those are the WBC rules. Let's now go to the ring announcer. Frank Freeman will have the pre-fight introductions. Talk about the odd couple, Frank Freeman and Macho Camacho.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just had an added slaughter. In the ring at the moment is the ABC, WBC, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Trevor Berbick. This bout, ladies and gentlemen, is 12 rounds for the WBC Lightweight Championship. The officials have been assigned as supervisor for WBC, Dwayne Ford. The judges, Arsenio Garcia Barnell, Rafael Cantaya, and Vince Delgado. The timekeeper is Sam Goralnik. Counting for the knockdowns, Richard Graver. The ring positions, Jack Grossman, Theodore Struhl, and the referee, Carlos Pidaya. The principals, in the blue corner, wearing white trunks with a black trim, weighing 135 pounds from Las Vegas, Nevada, with a record of 44-5-1, including 34 knockouts, the #2 contender of the WBCA Championship, Cornelius Boza Edwards. And his opponent in the red corner, wearing rainbow trunks, weighing 135 pounds, with a record of 29-0, 15 KOs. WBC lightweight champion, Hector Macho Camacho.
Carlos Padilla, the referee, will give the instructions to the fighters.
You're going to box for 12 rounds. You know the rules?
Hold it. About the license. You leave you on that?
Okay.
Give me a tape.
Yeah, both of it. Both gloves. Yeah, both gloves.
Just talking about a loose lace on the glove, and they'll tape it down. That's the reason for the momentary delay here. Ray, I really have the feeling that Camacho will go right after Boza Edwards.
I think he has to, for himself, to try to upstage Rosario.
I'm a little skeptical. I'd like to believe that, because I thought that one of the things he did wrong in the Rosario fight was that he used his legs too much to try to win. He has great legs, great boundless energy, but he's got to know when to stop and fight more often. Let's see if he can correct that
You know the rules
in
of
this
boxing.
fight.
Avoid using any kinds of foul. Don't throw any punches during the break. Rudy Fernandez, who's the chief second? Okay, chief seconds will be responsible for any misbehavior of your assistant seconds. Is that understood? Okay, seconds, come out fighting. Yeah, Rudy Fernandez.
So we're set to go. Camacho said that the only time he got hurt against Rosario was when he was on the ropes. So one point he made emphatically clear to us is, I'm going to stay off the ropes.
Camacho's ready to go to work here. I mean, he
Stay
looks
to your
very
corner.
alert,
Macho, stay
very
to your
loose.
corner.
It's like a time bomb.
Stay to your corner, please.
He said look for more fakes, and he feels he can get away with a straight left hand.
Look for more punches here.
Pretty good exchange, and Camacho got the better of it.
Just a plotter in Bozo Edwards. Wants to get his opponent right in front of him to wheel away with those shots.
Opened himself up, and Camacho's right on top of him. A right hand, and Bozo Edwards down in a heap. That was a great right hand, but Edwards was really off balance.
Camacho went right for Bozo Edwards. And watch him go to work now, Barry.
Couple of low blows. And still a lot of time, minute and 45 seconds. And another good left hand by Camacho this time. Another good left hand. And Bozo Edwards is hurt. And still has a long way to go, halfway through the first round.
Camacho's really trying to load up here, so he's starting to miss a couple shots here. He needs to give a couple head feints like he mentioned earlier. What he's actually doing, he's giving Edwards a chance to get back to the fight by missing those very important shots.
Uppercut, and Bozo Edwards goes back again. A couple of good body shots also by Camacho. He's very sharp in this first round. Still 30 seconds remaining.
Okay, hold it.
10 seconds remaining, and Bozo Edwards will get through this first round. I think we have about a 3-minute and 15-second round here.
A big round, clearly, for the champion. Very uncharacteristic, and you guys are right. He did come out after him.
With a jab, as long as you're nicely tucked up, and if you jab, if you hit him, it's fine. If you don't hit him, you won't be in any trouble. You got me? Then you can pick out everything else. But work.
We'll have a look here at what he was up to. You see it as well as I do, and I think, gentlemen, what he's doing here is he's fighting the rematch with Rosario already. He's coming out here to show Rosario that he can fight. He's more than just a runner. You think so, Ray?
Well, I think he's trying to demonstrate that he has power and he can stand in there. But he could be making a mistake here, Larry. I honestly believe he can make a mistake by getting too careless here. He has to stick to his fight plan. Use his speed and his mobility.
I think also he knows that he's not in the best condition of his life, and I think he wants to hurry this thing up and get it over with.
But you notice that Edwards has a pretty good chin. He was able to get up. He was hit by a solid left hand of Camacho.
Yeah, and by the end of the round, he had his legs under him pretty good. I don't so much mean to say that Camacho is not in great condition. What I really mean more is just the fact that he's had to lose that weight and lose it in a short period of time, so there's no telling how much he's got in the tank. Just for the record also, in our HBO remote truck, we clocked that first round at 3 minutes and 25 seconds. But things move a little slower down here in Miami.
What they want from Bozo Edwards, his corner, instructed him to fire back, because quite naturally, while he's firing back, the chances are slimmer of Camacho dominating the round.
It takes people down here an hour and a half to watch 60 minutes. Bozo backs Camacho up with a right hand. Wasn't a big punch.
It's hard to see whether or not the weight plays a role here until later rounds, because what happens, you become lethargic. Hands, arms become heavy. You don't see too much foot movement by Camacho if that weight, losing that weight, is a problem here. Also, with Edwards, technically good right hook, he needs to keep pressuring the fight. He has to make Camacho work, use up that energy.
Good quick combination by Camacho, in and out with a combination. And a left hand by Bozo Edwards.
Camacho eyes open real wide. He sees that Edwards is for real.
And now Camacho showing Edwards a little bit of respect.
That is Bozo Edwards' round.
Boxing this guy's brains off.
Listen, fake him and then jab, and right uppercut to the body, right uppercut to the body. Your floating goes his left, right uppercut to the body, all right? But I want that jab, fake first jab, all right? Fake, jab, huh?
Move that head nice. You're doing beautiful. Boxing this guy, you're making the guy look terrible.
Just keep boxing, You're gonna get frustrated, then you can nail him with shots. I want the rest of it is, if you keep feeding him with a jab, even if you're not hitting him, you're keeping him off balance and you'll be able to hit him with everything. You're going good.
So both corners think they're doing well.
Let's go now. Fake him, jab. All right, Hector? Then nail him with left and right uppercuts. I want these right uppercuts now.
Make him miss like you're doing it. That's it.
Let's see if it can be done as easily as it can be said.
It's always a lot easier in the corners. In Camacho's corner, they told him to uppercut to the body. We'll see if he can do it. A wild right hand.
Break it up, punch him. Hey! I say break it up, okay?
I don't know, Ray. It looks like there's a little bit of, I don't know if it's confusion. I can't quite put my finger on what I see in Camacho's eyes, but it's not confidence.
Well, he's hit Bozo with some pretty good shots. Was able to put him down in the first round, but Bozo Edwards weathered the storm and came back with some shots of his own. I think what Camacho's corner want from him is a little frustration. They want to see a few jabs from Camacho, loosen up Edwards, and connect with his left hand. You notice the crowd now is chanting for Bozo Edwards. A little fickle here, I would say.
I'd say so. Well, the underdog in boxing, always been a crowd favorite. Good right hand by Camacho, immediately right on top of Bozo Edwards. Good shot again by Camacho. Bozo Edwards really punching from the outside in. I don't know, is that an effective tactic against Camacho?
Well, that's the only way he's going to be able to connect with some punches, because Camacho is so extraordinarily fast. So you have to catch him on the outside, more so inside. Try to catch those hands down.
Bozo Edwards said that Camacho is a runner, and that's what he's done the last 2 rounds. He's ducked in with a couple of flurries and ducked out. Gotten on his bicycle.
Harold Letterman, our unofficial, official fight official. How do you see the fight through the first 3 rounds?
Well, Larry, I gave the first 3 rounds to Hector Camacho. Of course, I gave him an extra point for the knockdown in the first round. Cornelius Bozo Edwards is chasing Hector Camacho around the ring, but Hector Camacho is landing the clean, effective punches. And on the basis of the clean, effective punches, I scored the first 3 rounds for Hector Camacho.
Are you ready to move? I'm on your right. Okay. You can start putting pressure on.
Concentrate on this.
You can put pressure on later. Meanwhile, you're going good. Stick with it.
Okay. Just keep boxing, Hector. You're boxing great.
Come on.
Well, in Bozo Edwards' corner, they were saying put the pressure on later. So obviously the strategy there is to try to come on in the later rounds, and he walked right into a good left hand, did Bozo Edwards.
In Camacho's corner, they feel it's too dangerous now to go in. It's too early, too premature to go in there, because Edwards is starting to throw some punches of his own and putting a lot of power behind it. Bozo Edwards is doing a good job cutting the ring off. Moving from side to side. Because see, normally, Barry, Camacho uses the entire ring, and normally fighters may have a habit of following the fighter around. So what you need to do is step to the right, make the ring smaller and smaller.
Bozo Edwards missed the right hook. Strategy of Bozo Edwards, obviously, to try to catch him in the later rounds. Again, Camacho ducks in with a flurry and then gets out of there.
I don't think Camacho likes to get to the body either. Some pretty good shots thrown by Edwards. I'm curious to see whether or not this weight of Camacho's is a problem here, because normally a lot of those punches thrown by Edwards, Camacho would have countered. A lot of those wild winged shots thrown by Edwards, Camacho would have normally countered off those shots.
And conditioning could really become a factor in this fight. The longer it goes on. Long left hand, off balance left hand though.
Camacho can't afford to become stationary, because that's when Edwards gets his punches off. You notice the way Camacho countered there. Great hand speed.
And Camacho just clearly gets his punches off faster. Tactical fight so far for Hector Camacho.
Camacho did exactly what he wanted to do in that round.
He's ducking your left.
Whether that's
Aim
enough
your
to be
left straight
impressive
down
in this fight remains
Aim
to be
straight
seen.
left to the upper chest, okay? Because if I'm hitting to the head, he's ducking it. So aim it to the upper chest. You understand what I'm saying? After you're jabbing him, you're frustrating him with these jabs, right? Aim your left, straight left to the upper chest. You understand what I'm saying? All right, Hector, baby?
You're frustrating this guy. He's slow motion. You're frustrating this guy like crazy. He doesn't know what to do with you.
Make sure when you jab twice, straight left to the upper chest. Don't aim to the head. You're jabbing
Good
beautiful.
one, too. Beautiful.
There you
Jabbing
see the
beautiful.
jab stats.
Aim it straight to the upper chest and then come up with right uppercut. Beautiful, baby.
No question, but the Camacho gets his punches off quicker. Those Edwards probably can do more damage with his, but hasn't had a good shot at Camacho, who's there and then he's not. Camacho successfully doing what he said he needed to do, and that is stay off the ropes.
Well, he's making good use of that right jab, rather, because Camacho's a southpaw. He's making good use of it.
That was a good right hand by Camacho again as he just stepped in.
Camacho not wasting any unnecessary energy, which also makes me believe that he's not as strong as he used to be because of the weight problem.
Camacho had Boza Edwards down in the first round, tried to put him away, and then when Rosario got his, Boza Edwards got his legs back under him, Camacho was content just to build up the points, which he did. There's a good right hook by Boza Edwards. Walked right into a right hand, but Boza Edwards didn't quite get it off quick enough.
Boza can't really get set because Camacho's moving so well here. Camacho's not throwing too many punches, but he's just using those legs.
Remember, this is the 5th round. We're going 12, WBC rules. Camacho's just getting his punches off quicker. That's really the bottom line so far. Crowd wants a little more action.
I don't know if Camacho is frustrating Boza Edwards, but he's starting to frustrate the crowd. He's starting to frustrate me. I wish he would do a little bit more fighting, and a little less running. Here's the first round, so let's go back and look at where the fighting was in this fight as Camacho came out blazing. A man who can throw punches that quickly, Ray, I would think would do that more often.
Well, he quite naturally he has the advantage in hand speed, but for some reason he's holding back or he's reserving.
They're getting very excited over there.
Good strong hit and a good strong jab, Heck. Follow a nice straight left.
Let's keep boxing.
Now that was Mickey Duff speaking in the corner of Cornelius Boza Edwards, saying they're getting excited in Camacho's corner, saying that as encouragement to his fighter. Mickey Duff himself, possessor of pretty good jab, scored with a sharp jab to the back of one of our cameramen in London. That was Boza Edwards, perhaps his best shot.
That punch that caused Camacho on his gloves, Barry, but he threw that punch with good intentions. Body shots by Boza Edwards.
Neither man is marked. This is the 6th round. Oh, again, a good combination by Camacho. Camacho trying to turn this into a street fight right at the moment.
Camacho just tying this man up. This type of fight that Camacho is doing frustrates fighters. It really makes them lose their cool. And I wouldn't be surprised if Camacho is trying to do just that.
Well, Camacho said when he was fighting on the street, he said on the street you could bite, you could hit the man in the back of the head, you could throw garbage cans. He said when you get in the ring, you got to fight by the rules. Off the ropes. Every time his back touches the ropes, it's almost as though somebody's pushing him off of there. Now this one has been a bit of a horse race here, not much of a fight. And the crowd reacting as you might expect they would. Not a great fight so far.
Shutting them out, Hickey.
Well, history of sorts being made here tonight by the Goodyear Blimp, which for the first time in its 62-year history is covering a championship fight here at the Abel Holtz Tennis Stadium in Miami Beach.
Harold Letterman, how does this fight look to you?
Well, Larry, I'll tell you something. As a judge, you hate like heck to score a fight for a guy that's doing nothing but running away. But the truth of the matter is Cornelius Boza Edwards, even though he's the aggressor, it's not effective aggressiveness. So I have it 4-2 for Hector Camacho. He's running away, but he's still landing the clean right jabs, just as you've been calling it. I think Camacho's still landing the better punches, and that's how I see it.
And 40 is left, you come on right uppercuts. If he launches towards you, counter that jab, all right?
Hector Camacho, Ray, apparently really doesn't have that much confidence in his punching ability. Otherwise, he would use it more. And Boza Edwards has taken his best shots.
Well, the sting is not really on Camacho's punches like I've seen him in the past. He's hit Edwards with some good shots. Now Edwards is on the attack to Camacho's body.
And again, that's as soon as Camacho gets against the ropes, Edwards is right on him. So obviously, Edwards went to school on Camacho's last fight with Rosario.
You have to stay close to a fight like Camacho. His hand speed, his foot speed, you gotta be inside with him. Because outside, he can box your ears off. You don't have a chance with his hand speed.
And again, as we mentioned earlier, stamina really could be the telling factor, because at least on our unofficial officials card, Harold Lederman has the fight close enough that it could be won in the final rounds by either man. Remember that 2-point edge in the first round because of the knockdown. That could become a factor. Counter punching, combination by Camacho. Pretty good body shot by Boza Edwards, Ray.
Well, he dipped that one in. Very good body shot. Put a lot of body behind it. But it takes more than one particular punch. Edwards is trying to load up. He needs to put some combinations together.
That last left hook caught Camacho in the arm.
You watch what happens here. As Edwards rushes in, Camacho connects with that 1-2 punch combination. Camacho, after he throws 1-2, he needs to come back with that hook. Because the guy's chin is still up there.
And I think there perhaps is a little frustration on the part of Boza Edwards. Another wild left. Camacho's just not there. And Edwards, I think, got the best of that exchange. Might have been the first time tonight he did get the better of it. Stepping up the tempo a little bit here.
Beautiful. He can't touch you. Boza is slowing down considerably. Now, you don't have to move fast. Be steady. When you're steady, you're very effective now. Steady, steady, and nail him with jabs. 1-2 when he runs into you. When you're getting frustrated, nail him 1-2. All right, as he comes in. All right, baby? He's getting frustrated, he's getting slow, so you don't have to run fast. I want you to be steady, steady.
There you see Camacho leaping in for a change. Edwards, who is a true professional, stands right in there with him and meets him at the pass. Boza Edwards is a really good professional fighter. We heard in Camacho's corner that time that his trainer Chuck Kalami was telling him that he's got to do more punching, Ray.
Well, less running, and less moving, and more punches. Because Camacho basically has been trying to load up with 1 or 2 punch combinations.
He was also saying that Boza Edwards is slowing down, and that does not appear to be the case.
I don't think that's true at all. I think Edwards is in the fight, and he's fighting his style. He's fighting his fight. He just dealing with so much speed. Look at those hands of Camacho. Now he's starting to put his combinations together.
Well, you heard Chuck Talhami in our pre-fight feature say you don't want to ever say anything negative in a fighter's corner. Well, he certainly wasn't doing that between these last 2 rounds.
Boza Edwards just yelled at Camacho that he's hitting low. Camacho has been having problems with his nose ever since the Rosario fight, and I think that's the reason he's breathing from the mouth. The interesting thing about this fight, Barry, one punch, one solid punch could turn this entire fight around.
There again, you saw Camacho just get his back to the ropes and get out of there.
That's the way it was with Rosario.
Except that Rosario caught him on the ropes. Might have been a headbutt in there. Padilla trying to keep control here. And again, every time Camacho gets his back to the ropes, even for an instant, Rose Edwards tries to jump right on him with minimal success. Close quarters. A lot of punches being caught on the gloves of both men.
He's starting to really frustrate Boza Edwards. What happens inside here, Camacho throws punches and ties man up and not allow for Edwards to get his punches off. That is quite frustrating for any fighter.
You're doing beautiful now because you're not unloading with these punches. Just let them go smooth and you're doing more damage that way. Understand what I'm saying? And when you're close to him, forget the head. Go to the body. Go to that body.
Got every round. 4 more rounds. You got every round so far. It's a walkover. You're shutting the guy out. You're gonna really pepper the ring.
He's warning now. Collingwood, stick behind the jab. Don't lose your cool. And don't put your hands down and don't walk away. Stay in front of him all the time. Concentrate, right? And break his heart. Anytime you're chasing him, don't throw swings at him. The jab. Once you've hit him with the jab, you can hit him with everything else. You got it? Good.
Okay. 4 more easy ones, Heck. 4 more easy ones. 4 more easy ones, Hecky, and you're home. That's it. 4 more 19.
Ray, they're saying to Hector that he's winning this so easily. Is that a good thing to tell a fighter who's not winning it that easily?
Not at all, Larry. In fact, I recall in the piece they were saying they never discourage a fighter. Always tell them that something positive. But you have to be honest with the fighter. Camacho knows this is a rough going for him. So he's aware that he's in for a fight.
And of course, I always harken back to your fight with Tommy Hearns when Angelo Dundee in your corner said, "You're blowing it, kid, you're blowing it."
Exactly. I mean, you must tell the fighter the truth because quite naturally he knows he's in there.
Crowd really wants a little more action here. And it would be a bad idea.
Camacho basically is fighting in moderation. He's fighting spurts. He moves around the ring a few seconds, then he comes in with a few combinations, then gets back on his bicycle. And the bicycle, I mean, he's on his toes, dancing and moving around.
Come on, make it work. Make it work.
And again, a counter-punching right hand by Camacho. Camacho keeps Edwards off him. Edwards wild with his punches. Four jabs by Camacho. Edwards walked right into a right hand of Hector Camacho. Not a really punishing right hand, just a quick, straight right hand.
Take it away and I can't drag it off his head, all right? Because you're going forward, you're doing the right thing, but you've got a bit of fucking punches in it, okay?
Carlos.
Don't go crazy, but when you get him on the ropes, throw some of your best shots round the sides, through the middle. Pressure, pressure, pressure.
Stop him holding.
Harold, how's it going on your card?
See it? I've got it a dead even fight. I've got Boza Edwards ahead 5-4 in rounds, but even in points. I think Boza Edwards is taking the fight to Hector Camacho. He's the aggressor. He's digging the hardest shots, and all I see Hector doing is flicking out that right jab and running away.
Cut your guard up, go to work. Slip as you go in. Cut your uppercuts inside. You got it.
Just relax, have fun, take out the jab, and just move around nice. Because you got it easy. You got every round.
On my card, Camacho is ahead by more than that, and Boza Edwards is going to have to do some damage in these last 3 rounds to win.
Well, we'll see. That makes for some interesting viewing come the time that this fight gets put in the hands of the judges, if in fact it winds up happening that way. Again, all of us have seen some pretty bizarre decisions in a boxing match. There's a good combination, and Camacho opens up. And there's a left hand by Boza Edwards. I'm not really sure, Ray, that Boza was hurt that much.
I think he was, Barry. I mean, Camacho came to life all of a sudden, and I think he rocked Boza Edwards for a second there. Edwards just has such a solid chin, a very durable fighter.
Goes back.
Boza Edwards, he's a methodical fighter. I mean, you can pretty much figure him out because he's going to do the same thing. He won't change. He's going to be aggressive. That's why Camacho, a lot of times, they would beat him to the punch.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how the judges view this fight. If they view it the way Harold Letterman did, in that Boza Edwards is the aggressive fighter and therefore worthy of winning the fight, or if they see it the way that Larry Merchant has, in that even though Boza Edwards may be the aggressive fighter, Camacho is doing what he needs to do to win.
Well, Boza is doing what he does best, and that's being aggressive and trying to wear his man out. In fact, I have to apologize to him after the fight because I kept saying Boza rather. fact, Boza was my idol.
Again, Camacho in with a flurry and out. Crowd doesn't like it, but it's really not a bad tactic because Camacho said the only time he was hurt in his last fight with Rosario was when he was against the ropes. So when he gets against the ropes, he ties his man up.
Camacho can throw and land a fusillade of punches like the one he did early in that round. You wonder why he doesn't do it more often.
You're steady, you're very effective. You understand, baby? You're very effective when you're steady. Don't move too fast. Just steady, jab, jab, steady, right? Counter jab, then let go left, right uppercut. Okay. Your right uppercuts are working beautiful now. You're hurting him. But you got to be steady, Hector. Don't move too much. Steady, steady, all right?
Giving a great boxing exhibition. A great boxing.
There you see. A right hand, a right, a left, a right. Tremendous fusillade of punches. A combination that you just won't see very often. And then he stops for the round. Again from another angle.
So 2 rounds left in this one. I almost hope this goes to a decision just so I can see which one of you guys is right.
That very well may be the case because Camacho is really playing it very, very cautious here. Keep using the ring to his advantage. Once in a while he puts that jab out, throws a couple of combinations, ties his man up, gets back on his bicycle, start using the ring again.
Oh, there was a good shot by Camacho. That really straightened Boza Edwards right up. But again, one punch.
You know what I see in Boza Edwards is the fact that Camacho is able to see and sense a lot of his punches coming because Boza telegraphs that left hand. Telegrapher, I mean, he cocks it back just for a second, and Camacho is able to get away from it.
Feeling perhaps Boza Edwards might be getting a little tired here.
He looks in pretty good shape to me, Barry. He's not breathing heavily, and he's just doing what he has to do here. I don't think he can do any more. He doesn't have fast hands. He's not particularly a power puncher, and he's in here with one of the quickest fighters in the lightweight division.
That shot came closer to you than it did to Camacho.
Would do a better job if Camacho was stationary. This movement here is just totally throwing Boza Edwards off balance. He can't get set.
Mickey Duff yelling, "Let him run, let him run." Thinking that if he runs, he's not going to win the round, which is the line of thinking of Harold Letterman here. And we will go to Harold Letterman at the end of this round and see what he has on his card. And Harold, how do you see it going to the final round?
Well, I've got Hector Camacho ahead by 2 points. I'd give Hector Camacho rounds 10 and 11. For some reason, Cornelius Boza Edwards just stopped digging the shots that he was digging in the earlier rounds. And Hector is continuing to bounce those right hands off of Cornelius.
Pardon?
Okay. Only when he comes to you straight, be ready for him.
Cody, give him let it all hang out. Please, you've got a hell of a chance. Please let it all hang out, right?
Tuck his chin in.
Fight for your life. Tuck it.
It's the last round, Hector.
Okay, Matt. Do your thing, baby. Big finish, Matt. Big finish. Come on, stay in there. 3 minutes. Man, this guy couldn't win it. He's fighting now. 2 gold medals.
I've had the feeling in this fight on occasion, Ray, that Camacho, after landing some punches early in rounds, has been sort of freezing the ball or running out the clock. Let's see how he can close the deal here.
I think we'll see a more aggressive Camacho now. I think he wants to close the show. You probably see more punches by Camacho, although presently he's not doing anything. It was Ali shuffled by Boza Edwards.
Sort of an Ali shuffle. Well, a little bit more of an Edwards stomp. No time to showboat here so far as Boza Edwards is concerned. He's got to go get it. That's where he wants him, but he didn't get him.
I think Camacho's going to catch Boza reaching in because he's able to measure him with his jab. And I think he's going to come and counter with the left hand.
There was a good right hand right there. And Camacho trying to end it the way he started it. Now he turns Edwards around, and that was a good uppercut. Camacho really feels that Boza Edwards has nothing left, and I'm not sure but that he's right.
Camacho is just so quick. The crowd doesn't particularly like this showing, but it was a good, Camacho did the right thing.
He's an artist. He really did what he felt I'm sure he had to do. He certainly did what he told us he was going to do, and that is not get on the ropes, do a lot of side to side, and keep his head moving. He felt he kept his head too straight, too upright against Rosario.
Camacho keeps checking his head.
And so this one is just about over, and there will be no knockdown. No knockout, I should say. One knockdown that was in the first round, and this one's history. Well, a less than scintillating performance, really, on either fighter's part. All the excitement coming early in this evening of boxing as Edwin Rosario knocking out Livingstone Bramble in quick fashion, and most impressively so. Hector Camacho then coming on, and let's, for just a moment, take a look at Harold Letterman's final card.
Well, Barry, I scored the fight 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Hector Camacho, and I gave him an extra point for the knockdown in the first round. But I want to tell you something. I just really didn't like the type of style that Hector fought. He ran away. He didn't give the fans their money's worth, so to speak. Boza pressed, but in the final 3 rounds, he just didn't throw enough punches to pull the fight out. I thought it was close, but I thought Camacho won 7-5 because he landed the clean right jabs while he was running away. He ran away, but he landed the sharp right jabs, and Boza just didn't have it in the final 3 rounds when he needed to really come on to take the fight away from Camacho. And that's how I saw it, Barry.
Well, it wasn't really a Rembrandt, Ray, but again, I guess a W is a W for Camacho if, in fact, he gets it.
I think what will be fair is to ask Camacho whether or not the weight weakened him. And like in the first round, Camacho was aggressive like I thought he would be. Here he's connecting with those combinations, some missing, some catching Edwards on the arm. But the one that did the job was the shot to the head.
Yeah, that first left hand was the one, and that one really more knocked him off balance than it did knock him down, really. Looked like he was back on his heels when the punch came.
Well, that shot there pretty much started everything, and it came in such success in there. Edwards was totally bewildered by the hand speed of Camacho. But I'm curious to see whether or not Camacho said that weight really weakened him.
Let's take a look at our final punch stat numbers, and as you can see, Camacho did work a little bit harder than Boza Edwards. Boza Edwards was really not very efficient with his punches. 21% to Camacho's 42, and let's see if in the judges' eyes that's the way they saw it. Ring announcer Frank Freeman and the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Rafael Cartaya scores it 115-112. Judge Eugenio Garcia scores it 120-108. And Vince Delgado scores it 118-109 for the winner and still WBC lightweight champion, Hector Machaco.
Well, I think it's pretty interesting, Ray, that some people saw it the way Harold saw it. Some people saw it the way Larry saw it amongst the judges. One scored at 120-108. That was pretty much the way Larry Merchant saw it. One scored at 115-112. That was the way Harold Letterman saw it. And the third was in the middle. So I guess the people that we had watching the fight saw it pretty much the same way as the judges.
Well, I gave the edge to Camacho. Camacho threw a lot of punches, moved a great deal, moved a lot of times unnecessarily. But I feel that Camacho threw the most punches.
But it looked like he really came out of the gate and said, I'm going to do away with this guy. And then when he realized maybe he had a little bit tougher nut than he thought, he said, okay, now I'm going to do what I have to do, not what I want to do.
Camacho had 2 fights tonight. He tried to overshadow the performance by Rosario, stoppage of Bramble, and he was fighting this guy here. It was just too much pressure, I think.
All right, we're going to go up to the ring right now where Larry Merchant is with the winner and still the champion, Hector Macho Camacho. Larry, you got it.
Okay, Hector Camacho. Hector, you came out blazing almost like you were trying to show that you could do better than Edwin Rosario. Was that what you were up to?
Not really. You know, I was the main attraction. It was my show. It's like I told you. Didn't I tell you Rosario was going to beat him? Bramble wasn't nothing. He never fought nobody like Rosario. Larry, hey, like I said, I can't make the weight. No excuses for nothing. I feel happy. All that bragging is over.
You feel like this was too much for you, making the weight? You don't feel like you fought a good fight?
No, I feel like I fought a sharp fight. But I wasn't strong enough to stay there and I'll slug him. And I told you before that. I stood 2 days without eating.
Well, if you were so successful in the first round slugging with him, why didn't you go back at him?
Hey, you heard that commercial at the HBO do? That to be the best, you got to beat the best. I fought one of the best.
What are your thoughts about the weight? Did you find yourself weakened during the fight because you had worked so hard to get the weight?
In the later run, I wasn't able to stay there and push it out. So to outstand my legs, I had to box and stay sharp. I was sharp, and as you know, he's a strong guy. I was always on the move. I wasn't really set to really hit him off with clean shots.
Are you disappointed the fans seem to be booing you?
No.
Rosario seemed to steal the show?
No way. Hey, power to Rosario. He fought a great fight. He beat a good fighter. In my language, I say the opposite, a scrub, you know, because he was mouthing, disrespecting me, and calling me the bad guy. Me and Rosario are the #1 fighters, the #1 hero in Puerto Rico. And one day, we're going to get it all, but I don't go up to Japan, get the junior welterweight belt, and we get it on there.
Are you saying that you're not going to try to unify the title with Rosario as soon as you can?
Right now, I got the Japan guy waiting for me. Either he's going to fight a rematch with the guy that he beat, which is Alessandro.
So you're going up to junior welterweight, you're saying?
No question about. Hey, this is my old man. I love him. Hey, believe him. I ain't staying.
He's not leaving the 35. No, you're trying to...
Thank you very much, Hector. And back to ringside.
All right, so we are back at ringside here, and now Hector Camacho says that he is going to move up in weight, and Ray Leonard, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the fact the weight was a factor here, and Camacho admitted that. And he wants to move up because he wasn't as strong as he normally was in the past.
So Hector Camacho sort of pleased and by the same token displeased with the performance that he had tonight. How would you evaluate it?
Well, I think Camacho did the right thing. I mean, he felt that he wasn't strong, Barry. He felt that the safest thing for him to do was to utilize the ring, in which he did, although the crowd did not particularly appreciate it. He did what was in his best interest.
Is it, do you feel, the fact that Rosario, for all intent, handled him? He won the decision, but he really, maybe he didn't win the fight, I don't know. But he really doesn't want a part of Rosario again?
Well, no, I don't think Camacho's afraid of anyone. I think the fact that Camacho sees it's in his, good favor to move up in the weight division and hopefully have Rosario come up there to meet him.
What do you suppose Jimmy Paul right now is thinking and Edwin Rosario is thinking if, in fact, Hector Camacho does move up a division? That'll bring Chavez probably down into this division, so it'll still be a strong division.
Well, Rosario has made a very profound statement tonight. Let's see what happens.
All right, let's go back up to the ring. Larry Merchant is with Cornelius Boza Edwards. Larry?
Boza Edwards, he seemed to shock you in the first round the way he came out, did he?
Yeah, he shocked me because he caught me a little bit off balance, and he threw, that's his best shot. He's got 1-2. But apart from that, all he does is flick. I mean, how can a guy win a fight with flicking and he's doing all the running? As far as we know, boxing is that you have to take the fight to someone to win. You don't run all night long and then flick, and then you call that a winning.
Well, it seemed, however, that even though that's his style, that he was landing more punches. Is that more of it?
He wasn't. Those were flicks. As far as I'm concerned, it's the impact fights, and it's America that started. It wasn't the British. That whoever hit the impact is the winner. And what he does was
you're saying that he fought more like a British fighter than an American fighter, and you fought more like a runner.
He was fighting like a runner. He was running like a rabbit, flick and run. And then when I come close to him, he would run. I mean, you don't call that a fight.
Give me your opinion on a Rosario Camacho refight.
Well, that's the same thing. He was doing the running. And I don't know what the rematch will go like. If they go on giving Camacho the 120 and 108 Boza Edwards, they will probably give it back to him.
You're understandably upset. Thank you very much, Cornelius Boza Edwards. I have a few thoughts about the fights tonight. One is, I think that Edwin Rosario has emerged now as the star of the best division in boxing, the lightweight division. I guess we don't have a real tournament going here to unify all the titles, but what I'd like to see is just all of these guys keep fighting each other. Jimmy Paul against Rosario, and Rosario against Camacho, and the youngsters, Vinny Pazienza and Meldrick Taylor and Whitaker and Cesar Chavez, all very good fighters or prospects. They should just keep on fighting each other endlessly, giving us all our money's worth, entertaining us, making money for themselves. It would be prize fighting heaven for fight fans. Now back to Barry and Ray.
Okay, thanks very much, Larry Merchant. Let's go back to the events of this evening. Now, it's been a long night. Edwin Rosario, of course, he scored a dramatic knockout victory over Livingstone Bramble. Let's go back and show you that once more. Ray, I really didn't think this fight was going to go. I thought perhaps Rosario might win the fight. I had no idea that it would end this quickly and this impressively.
Well, I didn't know who was going to really win the fight. I knew both guys had the power and talent to defeat each other. But here we see Rosario completely dominating the second round. He hurt Bramble with some pretty clean right hands. There's another right hand that sent Bramble to the canvas. It was a quite impressive performance by Edwin Rosario.
Livingstone Bramble said that he had a thumb in the eye, and that's what caused him to stay down. But you had the feeling maybe he did, maybe he didn't, I don't know. But there were enough punches there that obviously did some damage.
Well, Rosario, he threw a lot of, you have to watch the short uppercuts, right hands, left hooks. Beautiful execution of punches thrown by Rosario. I tell you, Rosario's there for everybody now.
That was pretty good. Did you ever think about fighting?
Oh, yeah, I thought about it.
Let me ask you another thing, too. One final question about Hector Macho Camacho. Now, he moves out of this division. And the same thing with you, where you were a guy that not only was a champion, but you were a champion who could sell tickets. I don't see anybody else in the lightweight division who's capable of doing that. And I have to think people like Rosario and Paul now might perhaps miss out on some paydays if Camacho, big paydays, that is, if Camacho does move up.
Well, I think one thing for sure, because Jimmy Paul, who's standing nearby,